How do I tell the difference between love and lust? How do I know if my attraction is coming from a place of genuine love or it's coming from a state of infatuation? Now, before we even get into this one, I want to make it blatantly clear that I don't mind whether or not you have a love relationship or a lust relationship. I don't care if your relationship dynamic is rooted in lust. If that's all y'all got, so be it. Go ahead, your business, do your thing. That is your prerogative, as Bobby Brown used to say. However, do not mistake the two as the same. Don't look to lust and infatuation and think to yourself, wow, I'm in love. Otherwise, you will suffer. I'm not saying don't do it because you're a bad person for doing it. I'm saying you are the one who is going to find yourself, between a rock and a hard place if you believe that infatuation and that lust is real love, right? So it is vital for us to understand the difference between the two so we don't catch ourselves up and we don't put expectations on something that is not what we believe it to be. So I think that at a core level, right, at a spiritual level, we all have this discernment. We all have the understanding. We can all see when something is lust or infatuation, but we become so good at using this whole thing, right, to justify ourselves into these lustful relationships and calling it love so we can preserve them, so we can stay in them because we get something that we want from them. And that's actually a vital part of understanding the difference between the two. So the reason why we oftentimes can't see it is because we don't want to see it. We talk about the subconscious mind and the unconscious, etc. And I don't believe it's necessarily so hidden. I believe we hide from it, right? It shows itself in our lives. Like the patterns in our lives show us what we believe, but we hide from those patterns and we call them other things. And, we kind of play this mental game of charades, where we don't really know what something is in order for us to continue those destructive behavioral patterns that we're so addicted to and so used to. And so, again, in recognition, it's not that it's going to be hard to recognize. When I say these things, it's going to be straightforward. You're going to say, oh, that makes sense. Of course. Well, yeah, duh. It's because this doesn't take a rocket scientist. It don't take no type of genius, right? I'm no mathematician, but I've ran the numbers, pluses and minuses. And the math is mathing on this one, okay? So when you look at a relationship rooted in love, the phrase that I like to use is, an individual who comes from a place of love comes from a place of desiring the highest good for you and themselves. So that's my definition of love is the highest wish or desire for another or oneself, right? That is love. If I have the highest good or highest desire for myself and the highest desire for you, I am demonstrating love. And sometimes that highest good that I wish for you is me separating myself from you. That might be the best thing that could happen for you at this moment in time. Or it could be, showing up in different ways or, doing different things in some cases. Whereas lust says, what can I get from you? Right? So love says, how can I serve the both of us? And lust says, what can I extract from you? Right? Because when you're in a state of lust, all you're seeing is what you're going to get from that situation. So you see Shorty and she's thick, mad thick, and she got all the curves and all the things going on. And you think to yourself, ooh, man, wait till I get my hands on that. The things that I could get from, well, you wouldn't say it like that, right? You say the things that you going to do for her and to her. But what you really are saying is, I want to get this sensual satisfaction. Right? Or at the core, I want to get this validation by being with this woman, right? And having her as a notch on my damn belt. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. We're here to be straight. This is straight talk between us, right? So that's how lust will present itself. Lust will present itself as I want something from you, and love is, what's the highest good for both of us. And again, sometimes the highest good for you is to connect intimately in that way, right? Is to connect at a deeper physical level. And then sometimes it's to do the very opposite. Sometimes it's to say, you know what? Let's not get this into a physical relationship. Let's not get this going yet until we got this going, right? Sometimes that is the demonstration of love. And so when you step into a loving relationship, you'll find that it doesn't jump into physical first, or it doesn't put physical at the highest altar, right? It doesn't put it on this pedestal. Instead, it says, what is the greatest good for you? What's the greatest good for me? It always says that, right? It's also not love if you say, what's the greatest good for you and not for me? That's people pleasing. Like the book I wrote, my first published book, Doing Me Guilt Free, that's a people pleasing thing, right? You're doing this out of a sense of obligation, a sense of guilt, a sense of seeking out validation of the other individual so you feel valid within yourself. And so when I am in a true place of love, I am always asking this question, always, unconsciously and consciously, is what's the best for both of us? And I know that the best for both of us is always going to be, me pouring into me and me pouring into you, right? Allowing my cup to overflow so that it pours into your own cup. So therefore, love is always going to show up as me doing the very best things I can for myself as well as for you. Whatever that means in that situation. And we can only know when we're in that relationship dynamic, right? We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We do. We really do. I'm not talking about evil and good. I'm not talking about, what's moral and what's not. I'm saying, when you are doing somebody dirty and when you're not. You know when you're doing yourself dirty and when you're not. You know when you got yourself in a situation strictly because you want the draws, right? Or strictly because you want that mahogany, you want that wood. You can tell what is your incentive, right? And what is it that is truly hooking you and keeping you to this person. And you know what that is beyond the justifications when you allow yourself to really sit with these things. Sometimes, again, we become so good at masking what we're actually doing that we can convince ourselves in anything. But once you start to take that time to actually reflect, to actually look at your life from a different perspective, when you get into that meditation, into them journaling sessions, etc., you start to view your life and you start to see things in perspective. You start to see that, wait, I think I'm actually only with him because, I think that we have a lot of chemistry in the bedroom. And when you start to kind of unpack what else is in this relationship, what else is there, usually you have nothing. And an exercise I feel is so powerful is, before just removing, physical intimacy off the table, is to write down all the things you have in your relationship or with this person outside of that physical intimacy, right? Outside of the bedroom. When you can distinguish like a true relationship that exists outside of that, unfiltered, then you might very well have a healthy, progressive, constructive relationship that is unfolding. But if all you can find is that thing and then a few little things that you have to make up on the other side about this individual, they can be real funny. They make me laugh sometimes. Okay. So they make you laugh and then they laugh. You're behind all the way into that bed. That's what they do, right? Well, they're real charming. Okay. They charm you so they can get into them draws, right? Like, we really have to start being real with ourselves. You ain't got to be real with me. You ain't got to tell me a damn thing, In my career as a coach, I've had multitudes of people who try to, this, that, and the third. I say, look, you can tell me whatever you want. You can tell me any justification you want for what you're doing, but just don't lie to yourself. Like, just don't lie to you. There is no win in that situation. Maybe lying to me makes you feel better about yourself, but when you lie to yourself, when you're in that space of disintegrity or a lack of integrity, a lack of alignment, you're doing yourself dirty. You're playing yourself, as DJ Khaled would say. So, again, how do I tell the difference between love and lust? What is the intention or the intentionality of that relationship dynamic, right? What is the motive behind it? Am I thinking to myself, what am I going to get? Or am I thinking, what am I going to give? And again, give doesn't mean how am I going to, bow down and cower to this person. That's just some people pleasing stuff right there, right? Make sure you get the antidote to that, doing me guilt-free. Shameless plug. But instead, we have to start, again, looking at these like deeper intrinsic reasons. And even if you go into environments, you'll see this so clearly. Like if you go to a club or you go into, those dating apps, etc., those type of spaces, it's usually somebody looking for something that they can get from somebody else. So they go into that atmosphere and they're looking at, what can I take from this person? What can I extract from this person? What can I get from them? Even if it's, oh, damn, they're beautiful. I want to extract beauty. Like, oh, this person, will make me look good or whatever it may be, right? Instead of this organic unfolding of a relationship that happens synchronistically, that's supposed to happen for us and unfold for us if we're just damn patient enough and if we're just pour into ourselves. God forbid, if we were just to love ourselves and move through life with that sort of intentionality, we would meet the people or the person who is in love with themselves and we can actually pour into one another, and it's love. Because true love ain't just this little kind of fairy tale fantasy sort of situation, right? It's not Disney, it's not Pixar. Well, it's a little more Pixar because Pixar, they get real. So it's not a Disney fantasy. It's not this princess and Prince Charming sort of storyline. Instead, it is two real people willing to be so real, willing to be so raw with one another, willing to truly dig deep and to let go of that deeply rooted mess, right? To get rid of everything that has been in the way of them truly living from a state of genuine self-love. And that self-love is going to pour into one another. That's what that looks like. And so that's how we tell from a surface as well as a deeper sort of more introspective level if something is actually love or lust. And again, if it's lust and you want to keep that dynamic, that's up to you. But just know that the two cannot necessarily coexist, right? You can fall or find yourself in love. I don't like to fall into love. Why are you falling? You should be rising in it, right? You can find yourself in a state where you have a genuine loving relationship and y'all have such a deep desire that you want to connect intimately. And in that case, it's actually not lust, right? That's not the definition for it. It might be infatuated, right? It might be desiring, but it's not necessarily lust. But if you just have lust, you ain't going to find love in a lustful place because, again, it's about extracting. It's about a scarcity mentality more than it is abundance and wanting to give and pour into this person. Even if you call yourself a giver, right? Or I'm just a giver. You're still looking for something that you want to take from that individual because you don't feel you are enough or whole within yourself. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole different time. For now, guilt-free plug, Doing Me Guilt-Free, my very first published book. Breaking free from people pleasing and unleashing your true personal power. Make sure to get yourself a copy of one of these immediately. Until then, description, we'll have the link for that as well as pinned to the comments section. You'll be able to find the link for that. It should be the Amazon link by now. Whenever I'm recording this video, I would definitely have the Amazon link up by then. So make sure to find that link to get you a copy and to exist with that book. To co-create with that book, because it's going to be a day-to-day partner with you. I promise you that. It has been for me. So appreciate you guys. Much love. Peace.